Welcome to Love Lately, the podcast where we dive into the real conversations about love, relationship, and all the joys and challenges that come along with finding love and keeping it after 50.
Okay, so look, whether you're looking for love, starting over, or navigating the ins and outs of long-term commitment, we're just here to share our journey and the insights we've discovered with you.
I'm Lee, and this is my husband, Ron, and we definitely don't have all the answers. Like, trust me, we do not have all the answers. But we have many questions, and we want to unpack them with you. We will talk about what love looks like in this stage of life and how we can make it work.
So grab your favorite drink, get comfortable, and join us for honest, heartfelt, faith-filled conversations that remind us all it is never too late for love.
Welcome to Love Lately. Welcome back to Love Lately.
Welcome, Love Lately. Hi, I'm Ron.
And today we are going to talk about distractions.
Distractions.
Wow. We all deal with distractions, even if we're working on something professionally, project, children, all kinds of things. The bottom line is when there is something at stake, there's something greater than you happening, going on, there will be distractions.
Distractions, yes.
So we're going to talk about what to do about distractions when they pop up in relationships. Beginning, end, middle, it doesn't really matter. It happens, right?
Yeah. Distractions, those things that just kind of pop up out of nowhere. And we spend so much time and energy focusing on that bump or that problem.
Right, yeah.
And you realize that this is something that's, distracting us from that bigger goal, that bigger target that we have.
And I think that's it. The important piece is you have to, if this is a significant relationship, you have to go into it knowing this is bigger than the two of us.
Yes.
It's bigger than us looking cute in photos and going on great vacations for the gram, for the internet,
Yes.
It's bigger than us, and therefore knowing, again, that there are going to be things that come against.
Absolutely. That's a great way of putting it. If it's something that we've invited into our lives and it's something it's moving in a positive direction. It's something that's nurturing me and feeding me, and it's something that's positive, and I'm making a decision to move forward in this. There's going to be some opposition,
right? But I want to elaborate on that point. Not just something good for me or good for my growth or whatever, but something that my family needs to see to break a generational curse.
Yes.
My child needs to see to learn how to treat a woman or treat a man.
Yes.
Something that the community needs to see.
Yes.
That the world.
Yes.
I mean, I know I got some hustlers and whatever listening to this. The world needs to see, and owning that, going back to our first thing, and you talking about marriage being a God concept. Marriage is a God concept because God uses marriage to do some amazing things in this world.
Yes, to impact the lives of other people.
Yeah.
To impact the lives of our communities, to impact the lives of anyone that we may encounter. And, there's going to be that opposition, and there's going to be some things that are going to try to distract you from that target, from that goal, from that purpose. Yeah. From that purpose. Yeah. Especially when you found someone and you know that this relationship resonates deep inside you, and there's something a whole lot bigger going on than just...
A whole lot bigger.
Than just us.
Just us, yes. Yeah. So I was reading about distractions, and one of the things it talked about was the opposite of distraction, which is traction. And traction is anything that pulls you closer toward the intended object, the intended place that you want to go, anything that's pulling you toward the right way. So distraction is anything that pulls you away from the goal.
From the goal, from the target.
And some of us are in deep relationships or in marriages where we don't have a goal.
Right.
So let's get some goals around the relationship
Yeah.
and what you want it to be and where you want it to go, and thinking about the purpose of you all even being together.
Yes. I love it because when we got together, we kind of realized our personalities, what was in our hearts, what was in our thinking, and we realized this is probably a whole lot bigger than just us loving each other, coming together, building, having a life together, trips and vacations and, and work and all those things. It was something a lot bigger than that. It resonated in my spirit. It resonated in your spirit, and it resonated in the spirits of others that approached us.
Yeah.
And so we realized that it is something that's bigger than us. And then we started to understand what those bumps were. Mm-hmm. We started to understand what those little distractions were.
Yes.
That kind of tries to upend the traction that we've garnered, developed in the relationship.
Right.
And it's real.
Yeah. And you shared this in a previous episode, and I know you do this already, but what is one of the first things that you ask or say when something starts to happen?
Yeah, I have to ask myself, and I've learned this, that when there is a bump or distraction, I ask myself, what is this? Mm-hmm. What truly, or what this really is? Mm-hmm. Is this something that's a distraction? We talked about, why am I battling with someone who I'm supposed to be building with? Right. So you have to ask yourself, you have to step back away from it and ask yourself, and truly ask yourself, what is this? What's really going on? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You have to recognize it. You have to recognize it, and then we attack it. We attack that opposition. We attack that attack.
Yes.
We attack that attack. You develop tools.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You develop tools to, combat those distractions.
Right.
Yeah.
Another thing that's important to do when we see distractions coming, and not waiting until it happens, but starting it very early in your relationship, is to create boundaries in your relationship, because distractions will sneak in very subtle, small ways through people or circumstances or lack of sleep or all kinds of things. Yes. So what are the boundaries that need to be created to protect what you have?
Yes. That's great, to protect what you have. Mm-hmm. Those boundaries, and like you said, those boundaries can be with people, family, friends, things that I've done in the past that sometimes I realize now are creating these bumps in my relationship. Mm-hmm. So I step back and I, take into account how it's affecting the relationship, if it's something that I'm truly working towards. Yeah. And I'm developing this traction in this relationship. Now, if some things that I've commonly done or always had in my life, or a way that I've always handled certain situations, if it's starting to slow down that traction or creating a bump or some type of opposition, then I need to fall back.
And I think it's also, when you talked about previously that we carry us with us in every relationship, right? And so I have thought about like things that I knew contributed to the failure of other relationships.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And I think, okay, this is a pattern.
Yes.
And so I know that I can be a workaholic, and that I can get swept up into whatever I'm working on, and by default kind of put other things to the side. And so though I'm still not perfect at it,
right.
There are many times I will have my laptop with us wherever we are, but I'm more aware of shutting down, focusing on him. How late am I deciding to stay in my office and work? Mm-hmm. Carving out time on the weekends, like being intentional. And that's an example, again, of boundaries. Study yourself, know, what trips you up, what allows for distractions in your life, and how can you limit those with still being true to yourself.
Yeah. That's setting a boundary on myself.
Yes.
Sometimes, because sometimes I'm the problem.
Yes.
Sometimes, I can, do some things in a certain way that I've always done. I mean, it may not resonate in a good way with the person that I'm seeking to build this traction in this relationship with. So sometimes I need to, we talked about the self-reflection and doing the inventory and all those things. And sometimes it's good to take a look at ourselves and realize that this is creating an issue or a problem, and it's me. And so what is this?
What is this?
What is this? Be honest with myself. And it could be me. And so, but we talk about it.
Right.
What is this? And then we, develop these tools.
Right. And again, it could be tools that you work on together, or it could be boundaries that you personally know that you need to incorporate into your life because it's going to trigger something else in you that will impact the relationship.
Yes. And whatever it is to get you both recentered.
Yes. Yeah.
Whatever it is to get you both recentered. What I loved about our relationship, and I love this to today, is that when we had the distractions early in our relationship and throughout our relationship, our main tool was prayer.
Yeah.
That may not work for everyone. That may not be a tool for everyone. But for us, it recentered us. Yeah. It got us on one accord. It just had a way of just recentering us. And a lot of those things that we were tripping over became not as important, not as big as we thought it was.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It made us focus again on the bigger picture.
Yes.
It made us focus on the goal that, that we set for ourselves in this relationship. And so, sometimes it was asking someone else to kind of moderate and mediate and come in and just bounce some things off someone that we trusted. Right. Someone who has a history of a wonderful marriage and a relationship,
Right.
So how did you handle these situations? So we have to recognize it for what it is, find out what this is. Oh, this is a distraction. This is trying to, stop the traction that we've developed in this relationship. Right. And you have people in your life, someone that you trust. There are people who you look at and you want what they have, and you can trust this person with this conversation. And there are ways to get by it and get past it and keep moving, get back on track.
Right. Yeah. Also, with being handling distractions, another resource or tool or strategy can also be, we sometimes know when the distraction is coming and set up things ahead of time before they come, before they get there. Again, self-awareness is so key. Like, everyone should work on, if you want a healthy relationship, be aware of who you are and yourself. So you can say to your spouse, to your partner, that, hey, I know when this happens, it's going to trigger me. It's going to set me off. If I don't deal with it, I'm going to be depressed or angry or anxiety or whatever. Can you help me through this? Yes. And you can't do that if you're not aware of who you are and what's going on inside of you.
Yes. Yes.
So prepare for it. I know there are certain things that happen in my life that are going to come up, and I need to tell him, like, I'm going to act a fool because of this, likely because I haven't worked through it, or I was going to tell you this the other day. We'll use it now. That, like, he is so direct and efficient, which is great. I love it. Direct, efficient, ABC. This is what we're supposed to do. I can get overwhelmed easily. Like, I get overstimulated. So if I hear a television and then I can hear someone playing on their phone and I'm trying to read directions and I'm trying to organize something at the same time or follow directions, for me, I don't know if it's neurodivergence. I don't know what it is. But I get overstimulated. Right. And I can see him standing there, like, wanting to fix it for me or wanting to just jump in and help, which adds more pressure to me. I'm overstimulated. So sometimes if you know that I'm overstimulated, just give me a minute.
Yes.
Remove some stimulation from
Absolutely.
me so baby can focus.
Absolutely. Yes.
So,
yes.
yeah.
Yeah. And another thing is, which I loved, and I was so grateful for this, and I was grateful that you brought it up and brought it to our attention. We just had a weekend away with some friends. Same for, we had these friends at our home a few months ago. And she said, I'm so detail oriented. I'm task oriented. Once I get started on something, I'm locked in and I'm going. And so sometimes I'm looking for, and she can be caught up in entertaining and doing other things. And I'm like, okay, can I, get some help here? And then I'll get bothered, and then it caused a little bump, a distraction.
It was a distraction.
A distraction. And so now now this distraction has a possibility of kind of creating a little tension between us, kind of creating tension against the people that, the people that we're around. And so we had the same couples. Went out for the weekend. We were away for the weekend. Yeah. And she said, listen, let's come up with a safe word.
Yes. So
whenever those things arise, just say chili pepper.
Yeah.
And then that way we can come together and we can talk.
Like, what's going on?
What's going on? Yes. What do you need me to do? Yes. And so, but it works both ways, but it's just developing those tools that help us to combat those things about ourselves that we allow to come up and create these distractions and create these rifts and these bumps in the relationship that kind of stall us for a moment from being who we are with each other.
Yeah.
So I love that. I love the fact that I was like, okay, baby, chili peppers it is. It's fine. Yes. Okay. But what I loved about it was that she knows me and she understands that sometimes I can, get so caught up in what I'm doing, and then it feels like I get a little overwhelmed and I'm looking for a little assistance, but she's doing what she does. And so come up with these tools to not be tripped up by the same things over and over and over again. And so that was awesome. And I thank you for that. And I was grateful for the chili peppers. Yeah, that was awesome.
Thank you, baby.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
that's the work, babe.
Yes.
That's the work.
Yeah.
That's the work that you put in when you recognize those things that can possibly be an issue.
Right.
You kind of have a little forethought about things, be a little proactive, and you come up with solutions so that we don't find ourselves battling with the ones that we love and that we're building with.
Right. Yeah. And that's such a good point because, and I'm not like giving myself kudos or anything. This is all for you all to think about, like your relationships, where you are, what you want to do. But also part of it, and I talked about knowing yourself, but as you said, studying the other person. And so now I have ideas on what gets him agitated or annoyed. And because he's such a person of order and time and all those type things. So when I know, like we had another small bumping of heads, but it's when things are out of order for him or time is not flowing as he expected it to. And now that I am aware of that and know that, again, to keep from an unnecessary distraction, it's like deal with that right away. And like, don't let the actual weird circumstance or action be what you're fighting about.
Yes.
Like, get to the heart of, you know what? That was disrespectful of me because I know your time is super important to you. I should have handled it this way. And get to the heart of things.
Yes.
Get to the heart of things.
Get to the heart of things. Don't let those distractions linger. The longer they linger, then, all these other emotions start to come up. And then before you know it, there's a resentment built up. And then the resentment, even if you resolve it, every time you think about it or it just kind of comes up, it just rehashes that feeling that you had initially. That resentment just pops up. And so we want to avoid the resentments, avoid all those negative emotions that we tend to carry sometimes when we can develop those little tools to help us get past those little bumps, and like I said, it's just us taking the time to know the person that we're committing all this energy and time to take the time to understand and know who they are, and just build on those things.
Build on it.
Build on those things instead of allowing those things to tear down.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So those were a few things that we wanted to share about distractions. Oh, really quickly, because we did address mainly people who are in relationships. Mm-hmm. What about distractions that may arise that keep you from seeking love, getting to the place of love? Because a lot of times single people I've been there, self-sabotage. Yeah. Because we don't want to, honestly, getting into a relationship, especially if it's not the right one, is a lot of work. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, man, I don't feel like doing this work. So we self-sabotage. We create reasons not to meet people or be open-minded and all those things. Yeah.
It's work, baby. It is work.
It's work.
It's work, but it can be good work.
Yeah.
It can be enjoyable work. You know what I mean? But you can't look at it as, hard work, or, you resent the work that's needed to build a meaningful, good relationship. Like we say all the time, wherever I go, there I am. If I'm looking to start or establish a relationship, we always talk about the self-reflection and doing the inventory and looking at those things about myself that create distractions.
Right. Your own, either internally or
absolutely,
externally.
That create distractions. And so, I can be a person that gets, bothered by the slightest hint of, maybe someone not paying as much attention to me as I want them to pay. Mm-hmm. But maybe that looks different, to the person you're interested in.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it can become a distraction, and then we find ourselves having this bump or this hurdle that we have to try to navigate. Yeah. So what
another distraction that I see a lot with singles and people dating, and something you said sparked this, that we will allow one bad, I'm not talking about a character action, but one bad mistake or action cancel out a whole potential relationship.
Yeah.
So we'll equate a bad day to bad character. And that's not accurate. That's a way for us to create like a wall. Mm-hmm. And as I'm reading this book, and one of the things about walls, there's a difference between boundaries and walls. Walls keep everybody out. Boundaries actually help you to have more healthy relationships. Mm-hmm. So if you're creating something that's keeping everybody out, if they don't do these three things and they're out, that's a wall. And it's a distraction. It's keeping you from the love of your life.
Yeah, yeah. Fear can be a distraction also. Mm-hmm. Fear of running into the same experiences that I had in prior relationships. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so sometimes we'll self-sabotage because of fear. Sometimes we can be moving forward in something, and, sometimes it can, be something great and positive in our lives, and then we'll start to, those old character flaws that we haven't addressed, that we haven't been honest with ourselves about, that we haven't taken the time to kind of correct or fix or recognize when they pop up. We could self-sabotage, we could, have a fear of even being happy.
Yes, I believe that.
Even a fear of having something great and positive.
Yes.
Because it requires work.
It requires work.
And it requires self-reflection. It requires me to maybe change some things.
Right. But I do think some people, I love this point, I do believe that some people have a fear of happiness because they don't think they deserve it. Mm. And so there's a intentional self-sabotage because they don't think a healthy relationship is something they either deserve or that it's even possible for them.
Yes.
Because you have to believe it. You have to believe.
You have to believe.
You have to go back to, the goal, your own purpose, what you believe God has told you about your life, and what He wants you to fulfill. And then you're able to believe, like, yes, I'm supposed to do this in partnership with someone.
Yes. Yeah. And you hold on to that. And then in building that relationship, whatever comes in, if it's meant to be, it's going to be something that's going to help you to build on that.
Yeah.
Then you know the distractions are going to come, the opposition is going to come, because you realize this relationship is bigger than just us. It's bigger than just us.
Yes.
There is something that, we're meant to do, if that's what it is. And so.
Well, thank you.
Thank
this
you,
has been
baby.
awesome talking about distractions, because they will come up.
And they're real.
They're real, whether you are in a relationship or trying to get into a relationship, dealing with your own personal stuff, distractions will happen.
But we don't throw it away. We step back and we say, well, what is this? What is this, and what's happening, and what's going on? What is it that's put this block in the road to try to stop this traction that we've built up? You know what I mean? And so then we talk about it, we address it, and we find these tools that help us both. Just a lot of honesty, open-mindedness, and the willingness to do some things different and change some things.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, again, thank you so much for joining us on this episode.
Thank you.
Be sure to subscribe.
Please do subscribe.
Share, comment, all those things. Follow us on all social media platforms.
Yes.
And be sure to, again, tell a friend. All right?
Yes.
Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
guys.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Love Lately. We hope today's conversation sparked some thoughts and maybe even some inspiration for your own love story.
Remember, love does not have an expiration date. It should always be evolving and growing, and so are we, together.
If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, leave us a review, and share it with someone who might need a little encouragement in their love journey.
And if you have any questions or topics you'd like us to discuss, just drop us a line. We'd love to hear from you.
Until next time, keep finding, building, and enjoying love lately.